Howdy folks and welcome. I hope this finds you well. Today we'll be covering one of the best single-player first-person shooters I've ever played, and one of the most frustrating online shooters I've ever played, Escape from Tarkov. Escape from Tarkov is an extraction looter shooter multiplayer game that has been in the news recently for their developers' perturbing business practices. Yet there is a silver lining to all of this, even as a holder of Edge of Darkness Edition since 2017. What the silver lining is was something I never expected, but I should have. Funnily enough, my first video ever on YouTube was about another mod pack from an Eastern European game that also benefited from an insanely dedicated modding community. And that's what I'll be reviewing today. The mod for Escape from Tarkov that morphs it into one of the best single-player shooters in the world. SP Tarkov. Now, I'll be going through the game like I would any single-player game, talking about the design, gameplay, sound, and more. We'll only be looking at the game in its current state and not focus on what's happening to the current state of Tarkov outside of the mod or its online aspects such as cheaters and lag. It wouldn't be a Dog Dad video without hearing from you, your thoughts and opinions on the games I cover. What are your thoughts on SP Tarkov and the Escape from Tarkov situation happening right now? Do you own EOD? It means the world to have a dialogue. If that sounds good to you, I hope you're comfortable, have something to relax with, because this one is intense. For years I had heard about SP Tarkov, the Tarkov single player mode with mods galore and a lot of customization. I always was hesitant because for one, I loved playing Tarkov, and the idea of having to take an extra step to go offline didn't seem important enough to do so. With so many hours over the years, you could also pretty easily avoid people. But that sometimes had you staying AFK in a bush on a shoreline for 20 minutes thinking the wind was footsteps. Oh, the good old times. Of course, you find PMCs or random scav would come after you, but I found myself a lot of the time wishing it could be single player instead of just sitting there. And before you say, that was my choice, I acknowledge that. I also acknowledge that this was a survival tactic, most of the time that it came out of necessity rather than anything else. We all know Tarkov is brutal, but it's not just the gameplay, it's the extras too. Remember when it took 10 minutes to get into interchange? No? Well, let me sit you down here, youngster. Nah, I'm joking, but really, those wait times to find servers always killed me. Sometimes quest items wouldn't spawn for days, and it would get to the point where it became more than just a task, but felt like a job. Which I'm guessing not a lot of gamers enjoy unless they have the 10 to 16 hours a day to dedicate to games like these. Now, I hope the silver lining is becoming clearer. SP Tarkov takes all my little gripes about the online version and completely overhauls it. No waiting 10 minutes to scav into reserve, no hiding in a bush because you're scared of a mega chad, no wallowing away because your quest item hasn't shown up. Playing SP Tarkov, you are the captain now. I was blown away with all the customization that you can add into the game, but also the amount of mods that were available and that had in-depth guides to download. For the sake of this video, I purposely will not talk about how to download this or other mods, but there are many other places for that, and really nice people too that helped me out. Some of the mods are essential and had me questioning whether I was hosting a private server for myself or for actual people. I kid you not, the AI enhancements that these modders developed are better than some AAA titles. I have been flanked, I have been rushed, I have been grenaded upon, I have been cover fired, I've been shouted at, I've been bum rushed by 10 scavs. There have been some of the best firefights of my gaming life, already in 30 hours of playing SP Tarkov. So, let's start with the visuals. Obviously there is a mod that helps you out with post-processing, and wouldn't you know, it looks better than the base game. Tarkov is undeniably a beautiful game, from its interior details to the scale at which it depicts the evacuated area. If you showed me and GeoGuessr any area in the game, I confidently can say I would get it right. Maybe not this one. Not having to worry about mega chads running at you from spawn or knowing the AI usually doesn't one-shot you, you can take in a lot more of the environment. I swear, walking around streets in the new Ground Zero map, I was just blown away by how amazing everything looked. Lighting is another way that Tarkov boosts its visuals. Some of the interior lighting reminds me of Fear, just how beautifully dark you can make atmospheric lighting. Obviously, there are some areas that need work, but for the majority of these maps, I always feel impressed. Gameplay is a fickle friend, because on one hand, Escape from Tarkov is brutal. Point and stop. If you don't like games that have a learning curve that looks like a skyscraper in Lower Manhattan, I would highly advise not to play the base version. As I was saying before with customization though, you can tune down the AI to make it more bearable, or download a mod that overhauls the health system to make it more user-friendly. For the purpose of this video and my own sanity, I chose just to play the base version with the AI mods. And oh boy, you die a lot. Do not go into this thinking just because you're against AI that you will survive. I think at the time of writing this, I'm about 50-50 on survival chance, which is good in Tarkov terms, but you'll get the awakening once you get into Raid that this is not going to be just a walk in the park. Now, no game feels like Escape from Tarkov. It's one of the reasons why so many people love this game, including me. The gunplay is fantastic, especially with the changes BSG had made previously to recoil, and modding weapons to your liking has tangible effects. It's hard to go to other FPS shooters because Tarkov had years to develop their movement. What I mean by this is you can do a lot with your character, leaning, pushing your body out, firing over your head. There's a lot of utility if you know how to use those controls. Going to games like Gray Zone or Incursion, which haven't had the same time as Tarkov, it's a little jarring not having the same level of control. Learning how to utilize grenades to cover off advances, or flashes to rush into areas, it's not just being good with point and click. Tarkov involves a lot of strategy, and knowing when to balance your ammo and when to go full auto can mean life or death 20 minutes later into the raid. The choices in gameplay you make throughout the time of the raid all add up, which is an organic gameplay production, something so unique in games and rarely talked about that looking at this game in the single player lens makes it even more valuable. What do I mean by this? Every time you're about to load into Raid, you're picking and choosing your ammo, your magazines, what meds you need, what kind of gun you need. There's a lot of preparation. This preparation is all organic, because you're choosing what you need, not the game saying you need it. Every quest is almost open-ended, par the specific gun quests and maybe some specific other ones. It's really all on you, your knowledge and understanding of the game at first, to go in as you want. Once you get into Raid, everything you do has an impact on what comes next. There have been many times I've used too many bullets on scavs just for a team of 3 PMCs to come up while I'm looting, to my chagrin. The next raid I brought in more mags and bullets to reload, and it paid off, but I didn't have enough meds to stop the bleeding and died. These moments of course filled me with anger, but the next raid when I understood what I needed to survive, not just encounters but for the whole 45-minute raid, that's when it felt perfect. It makes picking up the items from dead enemies and the looting so much sweeter. You've earned it. Now, the sound in Tarkov has always been abysmal. I distinctly remember playing around 2008 when the resort was the big go-to for level 40s and above. The rush to get to the door and unlock it before you could hear the thundering footsteps of a 5-man, but you didn't know if they were 30 feet away or in the next wing. Hearing shots off in the distance has gotten a little easier to find, but compared to games like Hunt Showdown, there's no comparison. I hope whichever side figures out the sound problems does so at some point. It really is one of the only things holding back the game. And finally, the category that I love the most was Tarkov Story. I think Tarkov Story is where all the good and bad get wrapped together, and that's how we have dedicated players who have played the game for 7+ years. Ambiance does stuff to people. Tarkov Story is a powerful one, not just because of the situation, but how the developers depict it in the world you're going through. Tarkov does such a great job with visual storytelling, whether that's showing the dead lab scientists and uncovering the Terror Group's secrets, or finding the small stories of life of scavs or regular people still trapped in Tarkov. It's immensely satisfying to feel like you're walking around a once lived area. You'll get a lot of the story through the quests you're given by traders as well, and you'll advance your level and standing with them by completing various tasks. You'll have to choose at times who'd you like to cozy up to and who'd you like to screw over. Now, if you don't want any synopsis of the story, you can click on this timestamp. So, Tarkov's story starts with the launch of the Nord Stream international gas line, which causes the Russian government to create a new administration, the Norvinsk region. Now, pardon my pronunciation. This became the pseudo-gateway between Europe and Russia and garnered a special economic zone. As the companies moved into the region, one particular one was caught perpetrating illegal activities. I wonder who. So the Terror Group evidently was plotting something with abandoned military posts and special objects in the region. When the Russian FSB finally had enough and tried to enter the Terror Group premises, everything goes foobar. The descent into chaos is quick and the special economic region crumbles. It's not just the fighting, more powerful forces are at play. You can get a quest from Ragman later on as well, talking about how you need to repair and tag some vans which don't work after an EMP. That could explain why there are drones downed in Shoreline and the PMCs can't communicate with their superiors. It shows the escalation of the conflict too, that EMPs were deployed, and I'm assuming some radiation since the game itself has a health tab for it like Stalker. Now you play as a PMC that has been left in this godforsaken place and have to fend off literally everyone, from opposing factions to normal citizens turned into lawless renegades. It's a great premise, and there are a lot of details to the lore. And the raid series is pretty cool if you like live action stuff. There's also hours of reading you can do, and BSG did a nice job trickling lore throughout this 7-year endeavor. If you like any hardcore shooter game and knew about Tarkov but didn't want to play because of its PvP aspect, SP Tarkov is the way to go. I hope this review expressed how much fun I've had so far playing, and how cathartic it is finally to play the game I've always wanted since picking up EOD all those years ago. With the dedicated community and the infinite possibilities, I'm happy that this got the traction it deserved after BSG's rug pull and subsequent faux rollback. Please don't give them an extra cent if you're an EOD holder. We deserve better. And like that, I think it's a good time to wrap up. But wow, I didn't think there had been a game where after writing my script, I'm ready to play it for another 5 hours. If you enjoyed the video, please leave that comment letting me know what your thoughts on SP Tarkov are, click that like button, and subscribe if you haven't already. If you really enjoyed the video, check out my channel. There's something there for everyone. And as always, see you next time.
Осталось дропов.